Yeah, baby. Hey everybody, I hope everyone's had, wow, it's been like almost a week since I last streamed, so I hope everyone's had a great week. Yeah, sorry, August and I guess the beginning of September have been really busy for me, but hopefully things will level up or level out a bit now and I can be more consistent. But yeah, that's enough of that. Let's get started on some programming. Okay, as you can see, I took a little time to refresh myself on where I had stopped last time, and we were working on basically this kind of confusing system to update whether a monster is dead or not. And again, the confusion has to go back to hidden information, and we basically want each player to only know or need to know as little as possible about the other players. So that means we need to trust the other players about if their monsters are dead or not, unless we have some reason to think they might be cheating. So this was the code so far. Here we basically, it's the simple part, we just make sure that the message we got back from the server matches what we actually sent. So if we move, so this is a part that actually does the logic about updating the monster statuses. Right now, we check to see for each monster which player owns it, and I'm pretty sure this part is wrong, but for now, if the player is a local player or the monster is assumed alive, which is default, which means basically it's unknown, but we know that monsters all start alive, so that is okay. Then we go through and find the owner's array index in the messages, and then we convert, then we just set the monster alive to whatever was sent from the server. And then if all other messages besides the owner agree, then that means yes, everything's okay. But if for some reason some players say the monster is dead and some say it's alive, then that means that somebody is doing something a little fishy. And then again, if the owner is not the local player, or we already know that the monster is alive or dead, then we need to check to make sure every player agrees, because the status would have changed during the turn at this point. Okay, so I think that makes sense, but I wrote something. If the monster owner is local, we need to make sure all others match our status and are assumed alive. Okay. So let's see. Oh, okay. I think I see why the issue with this code is that we know that our monster is not assumed alive. Like, okay, so say we're on turn number 2, and at this point one of our monsters dies, but during that turn, and none of the other players know it's died yet. So if we make sure that, well, this actually would still work because we're the owner, but if we are the owner, we also need to make sure that all the other monsters are assumed alive and haven't like jumped the gun. So what's the best way to do this? Is owner local? Okay, so this is fine. I guess I just need to add one other thing here. So first, they have to all agree. And I also need to make sure that they all are assumed alive at this point. private bool check all assumed. Again, we'll ignore the owner. Okay, yeah, so that just picks a test line, but we don't have to do that this time. So we just want to switch through, and if I does not equal the ignore client, then we'll want to check to make sure. Oh, right. So it's just all messages status is I monster index equals. Okay, well, I guess we'd have to convert it first, wouldn't we? Okay, so yeah, if it does not equal assumed alive, it would return false. Now I just noticed something here. We don't actually check the monster statuses. We actually check the lists. So that's kind of a problem. Not a hard one to fix, but okay. So we want to. Okay, how would I? So really, it's kind of confusing. Let's just say have a new boolean here, which is all clients agree. I'll set this to false, and if is owner local, then all clients agree would equal check all assumed, and then we'll just pass all messages m and owner array index. Otherwise we could just say check agree. So this will work. There might be a cleaner way to do it, but this way actually I think that the reason that this is so confusing is because we have basically two cases here, and the reason I've left it like that is because they pretty much just share this code. So if I pull this out into a separate function, so this would be called find index for player. So yeah, we don't have to do a break, we could just return I there. So now I can separate these out into different if statements, which will be a little bit simpler. I do need the array index twice, so I should keep it as a separate variable. There, and then all we have to do, copy this. And then right here. And I can just pull this code back out to there and leave that. Okay, so I think this is good. I could probably simplify this even more, actually. We don't need that anymore. So boolean disagreement found equals false, and then if disagreement found, then we can just throw the exception here. That way we don't have to copy that code everywhere. So this agreement found equals check agree is false. Yeah, that's true. Kind of copy this code around. The only difference is here where we call check all assumed instead. Although, yeah, this actually has a positive or code that runs if this is true, so let's do it this way. Okay, that's a little bit more simplified. I should probably pull this out as well. Extract method, set monster alive status. Okay, and I actually kept the same syntax I used, except this actually is monster index. Okay, so now we won't have any code duplication, which makes me happy. Let's actually pull these functions above because all the other ones are like that. Okay. So now, right, if it's a local player, we check to make sure that all the other players don't pretend to know our status. What's that? That's not actually true. It's gonna. Did I just make a mountain out of a molehill? Because, like, once we've told all the other players our status, then it won't be assumed. So I'm trying to think, what did I mean by this? I think I might have, like, just given myself some bad advice from the past. Let's see. Okay, well, I guess, yeah, if we're a local, so yeah, they basically just need to all agree. It doesn't really matter. Well, in order to get everything really correct, we kind of need to keep track of the exact turn when, like if it's been the turn that we first changed status or not, because that's when our change from being unknown to known. Because that's when these values would be updated. Which maybe tells me I might have just made things more complicated than they needed to be. So I don't know why this code is giving me such a hard time. Okay, so if the monster is assumed alive, then we need to make sure that everybody except the owner agrees. I wonder if, like, right away, like actually when the monsters are okay, so Sorry about knocking the mic. Let's go back and think, what's the reason we're doing this? The reason we need to send the monster statuses to the server is so we can actually see if a player has won at the end of a turn. And the reason I just, like, since I'm having all these problems, it's making me think that maybe this isn't going to work out very well. And, okay, let's take the simplest possibility. If it's just a health stat needs to reach 0 for a monster to die. So, the reason that I was not wanting the game to have to ask for a monster's health is because, yeah, you'd have to, like, in order to check if a monster was dead, you'd have to see if their health was at 0. So, I mean, it's a bit of a shame that I was trying to avoid having to, like, look up the health stat, but we might just have to. Because I guess even Pokemon does show you, like, the Pokemon's health stat once they've been damaged. And I mean, the game does have to, like, look up, for example, their speed stat to sort things. Okay, so, yeah, I think I've spent a lot of time making this more complicated than I needed to. Okay, so let's see. We'll just let a monster will be able to be set to dead or not after they're damaged, and just during the action generation phase when all the logic is done, the mods will just ask for the health stat and then deduct the amount of damage from it. And they'll need to do that just because they need to check if health is 0 or not. So I think that's just what we'll have to do. Because, yeah, well, I knew kind of when I was writing this, there's no way if I don't check if a monster is dead or not to really prevent cheating, so. Alright, so let's see. What do I need to do to take out this code? So I guess a monster life status can still start as unknown. Well, at the beginning of the game it's... Well, really, at the beginning of the game we know it starts alive, so I don't really need this default value. Okay, so yeah, that was... So then, should I just use a boolean? Yeah, they're either alive or not, and there's nothing else I can think of. Because basically, if alive is true, that means that they don't count towards a loss condition. So yeah, I don't really need more. Okay. So I didn't really think this system through when I was... Well, I guess I did think it through, I just really wanted to be able to hide health, but it's not really the type of game. And then, so let's see, the status finalizer. So we set this. Okay, we still do need a couple other values here, because for any net message you want to have some default value that's kind of like just means that it hasn't been set. That's so that if there was a problem serializing the code at some point, it wouldn't get, the game would know that it's a value that hasn't been initialized. Okay, so this is much easier. We just need to check if battle monsters M alive, and if so, we set it. Oh right, we have to do an integer, that's why. And again, we have to do an integer because Unity doesn't like you to be able to send arrays of enumerations over the network for whatever reason. All this code's not needed. And then the status updater is where we... Oh wait, this is where we... check if there's a win state or not. So this is actually after we receive everything from the server. Error checker. So yeah, this code's all fine, but yeah, this code is all way more complicated than it needed to be. So really all we have to do now is just make sure that every player agrees for each monster. So yeah, this can be much simpler. So if check agree all messages M and no ignore client, so we'll have to go take that out. So yeah, if this is false, then something's gone wrong. So we don't need that or that. This, that, that, or that. Or no, I do still need the convert. Although the convert just makes a boolean, basically. So if it's alive, we return true. If it's dead, we return false, and then if it's anything else, we throw an error. Okay, I need to take out ignore client. And now the test client can just be 0, because when we're checking if every message agrees, it's equal, we can just start with the first one and go through it, because they should all be the same. Okay. Much simpler. Let's see if there's any errors here. Okay, yeah, I did a little bit of editing. Does anything actually set this value? Okay. I know I went through and converted. Yeah, there's some other things that's a bit different here. Oh. It's funny, I created this variable but don't actually use it. Okay, so here... Oh, and then I need to go back through and edit every time I use the enumeration. So here the monster has to be alive, and here this didn't update yet. This is still fine because it's just looking through all the monsters the player has to see if the player still has an alive monster. Okay, and yeah, the players don't have a variable anymore. I don't need that, I guess. Actually, we still do need it for some testing things. That's how we tested about hidden information, so I'll leave it in there. Okay, so the win state. Okay, yeah, this is kind of hacky actually, so I'm glad this came to my attention. It's basically checking if the message from the server said the win state was still contested. Wait, is this on... Yeah, this is a server. Okay, so it's not quite as hacky, I guess. Oh yeah, but now the server doesn't even have a win state. Okay, so do we actually need to send a win state? Yeah, so I guess we actually do need to send the win state to the server. Okay, so I had it correct before, but now I need to move the status updater back. Okay, that's a shame. Looks like I'm just gonna go and redo a lot of the code I did last time. Okay, so I had moved the update after error check because error check we actually could receive new information, but now we don't anymore, so update needs to go back here, which means I need to go and change some of the code around. This goes back here now. Luckily, the way I've programmed everything is modular, so it's not that big of a deal, but... Okay, so let's look through here. So start wait. Okay, so yeah, right here it should... Yeah, this should change to start update, and then change this to update. Yeah, that's right. And then here on status updated, I'll actually leave that because we're gonna have to use some of the code. This is fine, but I don't really need to check if we're connected. I just need to set the next phase to send a server. Right? Yeah, submit to server. Okay, at this point it's a ready check, so that's taken care of. And then requests on status received, then we go to error check, and then on status validated. What's next? So it goes one of those, which I guess is this code right here. So I need to change this to error check, and then either goes to final wait or final check. Yeah, it looks all good. Okay, so now status updater. It basically just sees if there's a winning state or not. So the finalizer is what we send everything to the server. I guess now we really don't even need to send these monster alive, but do I still want to is the question. Because if we're just going to send the winning state to the server, maybe instead of sending these monster status, we should instead just send like a hash of the current game state just to check to make sure everything's still synchronized. Well, I guess we don't. Yeah, I'm not sure if we really need to do that because we already make sure that all the actions are the same, and unless the mods are not synchronized, then the game state should stay the same. But yeah, I think sending these monster statuses is not needed anymore. So yeah, more code to delete. Let me just think this through. Do I need this at all? I think we really just need the winning player. And then, yeah, this win state enumeration. Okay, so nones, and then contested, and complete. Oh, there's also tie. And then I guess win instead of complete. I'm not sure, do we need to send a winning player? Oh yeah, I guess they do need to match up. Okay, and I'll comment this out. I'm not going to delete it because I don't want to have to add it back in again. Okay, so this is pretty simple now. We just copy what's in the battle. Oh, actually we need to... Well, we could just copy the winning player, but... well, we only want to send that if it's actually in a win state, so yeah. Something like that. And then switch battle dot win state. If it's contested, then we'll set the message to contested. Tie. And win. And then here, if it's a win, we'll also send the winning player. Okay, and yeah, that's all the server needs to know. And then again, we might, like I said before, maybe send like a game state hash, which would the different players could compare to make sure they're all the same, but it's not absolutely required. It's the updater, and then does that mean? Where's the error checker? A lot of that code we just did is not going to be needed anymore. So, but again, I'll just comment it out. So some of this will be the same because we'll still want to make sure that there is something sent from us. Okay, so I'll comment this and just like so. I guess that's all we need. We want to find our message. No, we don't need this. We just need to make sure that our message matches the win state. So if my message equals null, or my message dot win state does not equal battle dot win state. Oh yeah, we've got to convert the enumeration, so it's not that simple. Okay, so I guess we'll just use wins. Yeah, the battle win state, and this will be reported win. can't do this because we have to handle the default net message enumeration, which we don't have a similar thing for the game data. So let's see. Okay, so let's just have this boolean valid or imposter is false. So my message dot with state. Maybe an extra parenthesis there. So if it's contested, then imposter equals battle dot win state does not equal contested. And yeah, so we'll do similar down for each value. This one will be a little different because if it's win, we also need to make sure that the winning player is what we expect. Okay, and then by default, because for any other win state, it's obviously an imposter because that's impossible for us to send. I guess, actually, if it's something else, we might even throw that it's like corrupted, but it's not a big deal. Okay, so that code was to make sure that the server sent back to all players what we actually sent to it. And then here we want to make sure that all the messages match. So for int I equals 0, I'll just copy the code from here actually. Okay, yeah, this indentations were confusing me there. So basically, the first message, if the winning state does not equal winning player, oh yeah. And then we also do care that the winning player has to be equal, but we actually only care if it's let's do it this way, and all messages statuses 0 equals, why did I do that? Oh. Okay, so then if it's a win, so yeah, if this, okay, so actually if this is not equal or it's a win, and all messages statuses 0 dot winning player does not equal the current message is winning player. How can I shorten this? Let's just pull this variable out. Okay, so that looks a little better. Could even do something like this. Change this to message A And then we'll have message B is this. Oh, did it not rename the variable correctly? Okay, that's a lot easier to read now. Okay, yeah, so if the messages have different win states, or the win state is when and they have different winning players, then we'd want to throw this exception. And I think we're good. Okay, so now I'm back on the server, and now it knows that if the win state is contested, then it needs to go back to the beginning of the turn, otherwise it will end the game. Okay. Wasted quite a bit of time on this, but that's okay. So let's look at this real quick. Battle design, yeah, these are things you already knew about. Server actions is assigned. Let's get rid of that, I guess. Oh yeah, we used to need that because we could have the after action effects, but there's not any in this phase anymore. And then here, battles assigned but its value is never used. Guess we can get rid of it. And the rest of these warnings, we're just gonna live with them for now. Okay, so now let's try to run the game and see how far we can get. Okay, it did it. Okay, so now it's on choose monster again, so it did do one complete turn. Let's look up and see the end of turn status message. Request. Okay, yeah, here's the one. Wait, that's the ready check. Yeah, state contested and player 1-0. Okay, so that's fine. So let's try and do one more turn. I remember last time the game, yeah, had a bug at some point. Attempt to index a nil value framework functions line 19. So let's see what that is. Okay, the stat, something is null here. The yielded. Okay, well I guess that tells us what's null actually, because okay, here's a debug from Lua, and yeah, so the stat. Okay, well actually the request was not null, but then the statistic object was null. So that is a little weird. But let's back up and try and see if there's any other weird things. So we got speed. Zooming. So what is it even asking for? Yeah, because it got stat speed. Yeah, so it's requesting speed for silver. Yeah, we need a better debug here, don't we? Script requested object 2. This is owner object. I wish it had a better debug value, but would that be better? Let's try this. So that way we can see exactly what is being called or being sent. It should be the monster, but okay, same thing. And say script 22 requested object silver stat speed. Okay, so that did help a little bit. So at some point, okay, so entering sort phase, calling sort function. Where is this? Probably get rid of that. Close the game so it won't freeze on me. It already has. I'm too late. Okay, come on, Unity. There we go. So what is this? It would probably help me to debug if I gave names to these scripts so we don't have to know them just by the index. Wondering what is this? There's some hand on like something is hanging around in the list that shouldn't be, I think. Okay, so where is the here asynchronous handler? Arguments. Let's have another thing here. Debug name. That's a request. We don't need that. We want to put it here. Okay, so yeah, this is null or empty. Then we would just do, I don't know, the next ID toString. Otherwise, we'll do string format. Script. Pass the ID and the debug name. Okay, shouldn't put semicolon. Okay, so now everywhere here, instead of calling index, we'll want to call the debug name. So in fact, I think I'll just search for all instances of the index. Here's fine, because the vast majority, actually it looks like pretty much every time we are just using it in a debug log. And the only other way to make that useful is to actually call our set debug names in these Lua callers, so let's do that. So this will be ability get targets. And database abilities. Okay. I guess I'll just copy this because we'll probably use something similar. full query. This is for after turn effects, which just have the index, don't have names or anything associated with them. That might be a good idea to add into the mod though, just for debugging. So this will just be after turn effect. Okay, and this doesn't call Lua. This is, oh, that's asynchronous handler itself. We don't really need a string format, but I'll just leave it. So return. And this is selection. Okay, it doesn't have an ability, does it? It just turns actions, or it turns a selection to actions. Selections to actions. Alright, delete this. This is sort players. Oh, I put it in the wrong place. Okay, and this doesn't have asynchronous running, so we don't need to do anything there. Okay, so let's clean up the top bar, and I'll just close everything with this. Okay, so let's see. I don't know. I think this will help us in the future. Not so much for now, because we know what Lua script is running, but yeah, so here, better ability fireball usable. We're gonna error at the same spot. Yeah, so it's calling sort players for sure. Okay, I guess I don't need script there because I prefix it with script, but okay, let's just make this a little shorter. Okay. So each script has its own list of asynchronous requests, doesn't it? And they're created every time. It's not like, so nothing can be left over from another turn, can it? I don't think so. So the question is, why is the Lua running again? Okay, we've got sort players calling the script with its user data. We should just call. I was just gonna user data, so let's just call toObject for all these. Maybe they'll call it toString. That shouldn't ever throw an error, I don't think. Maybe if the argument is null, that's gonna be kind of annoying. Let's actually just see what happens. Because that debug calls or causes an error, then to do something a little different. Okay, it actually worked okay. Yeah, of course this isn't that much of a better. At least we know what object is actually being passed, so okay. just need to call the toObject. toObject. And that should make things easier to read. I really need to remember to stop the game whenever I go and edit code. Okay, so let's see. Let's look through here again. Okay, let's get targets, move. Okay, so sort players. We have sort player arguments, so calling and resuming, which is fine. So calling happens here, and then resuming is inside the loop. Okay, so sort players requested object gold stat speed and silver stat speed. We yielded. Okay. Yeah, so I was reading this wrong. Actually, yeah, there's not like some. It's not like yielding again for like a third response. Is the very first response for some reason is returning a nil statistic. So Lua interface asynchronous response. Maybe we should put a better toString there. And same with the request, just so we can debug a little easier. Kind of see where the loss of data lies. Although, of course, this request doesn't really contain all that much information. Although we do know that the request was registered here. So at some point, that's not what I want to do. At line 19. So we know that the stat value is nil. So at some point, the statistic does not get registered to the asynchronous response. Let's see how that could happen. Request. Monster does not equal null, then the statistic so could this ever return null? So if monster is null, it returns null. Otherwise it should never. Yeah, so I think this is the only time that the statistic could actually get a null and then, but not trigger these exceptions. Because you have if the owner object type is not a user data, then it would throw this exception, so we don't have to worry about that. And then if the monster is null, then it'd throw another exception. So theoretically, the statistic should always be set. Let's do this. Debug log. response statistic, and let's see, is this null?
Did you get more wood? Oh yeah.
So same thing's happening. Okay, so interesting. For some reason, so now we know the bug. Well, I guess we don't know for sure, but the bug probably lies here. I guess one way to make sure is we can have another debug here. Oh, I don't have Unity. Debug log monster stat requested. We don't even really need to add the arguments into that string. We just need to make sure that that code is actually being entered. Okay, yeah, it's a monster stat requested, but still return null. Okay. So either the monster is null or statistic is null. Maybe breakpoint's not always correct. Let's see if I can. Should these? Well, no. I think I was gonna say should it throw an error instead of just returning null. I think not, because the code before should actually check if it's a null value. Or the code, the calling code should handle the exceptions, I think. So I guess the only way that this could really return null is if the monster is null. So how could get monster? Data index is invalid. That wouldn't make sense. I think the easiest way to do this is if I can get the debugger to work. So that way we can step through the code. It doesn't always work the best with Unity. Like it's fine, so let's I don't know if I've ever used this on stream, just because it doesn't work the best. But it lets you step through the code as it runs. Okay, it doesn't work, fine. Okay, so we know this time works fine, so I'm just gonna click continue, and then it's doing the next one. Okay, now we see the monster's moved. And those times worked fine, so now if I do the second turn... Okay, so this is the one that we have problems with, so monster data index is 0, that's okay, and stat index is 3. Okay, so step into should take us into the get monster. Okay, so we want to next statement. Or is it just okay. So data index is 0 and monster count is 2. So we'll want to step over because we don't care about this count. This monster cache, can we see what's in there? So it has gold and silver, keys 0 and 1. Okay, so it should have gotten the value of the monster, and it did. It got gold. Okay, so let's continue. So now monster is gold, so it's not null. Stat. So it's going to try to get values. So let's look in here. It has a 3. Stat data index. Oh yeah, because for the specific monster. And yeah, it's only asked for the speed stat, so that should be fine. But the stat is null. So am I not... Stat cache... Why? So the register index... Oh yeah, that's fine. So stat data index is 3, and we're using the monster, and the stat map does have a 3. It says it goes to index 0. Oh, wow, this is silly of me. Okay. This is because we don't actually get the stat value, we just get the index here, so I have to do one more step. Okay, so let's get rid of this debugger. Okay, well, that went smoothly. Maybe I'll end up using the debugger a little bit more for this project. Okay, so basically, if this finds the stat index, then we'll do a little bit different code here. Stat will equal the stat cache. Okay, this was a bit of a silly problem, but that's okay. I don't know why I decided to throw an error there. I should just return null. Because I don't throw errors anywhere else. Okay, so let's try this one more time. And that would make sense of a problem that would happen on the second turn because we're looking up stats that are already known. So the code is slightly different. Oh no, another error. Let's see where it is now. Sort player script to duplicate player. Let's see where this has come from. I wonder if there's some values left over from the previous turn that could happen. Oops, I forgot to close it again. Okay, so we got Lewis stat speed 3. Okay, so players yielded. Okay, then we got the silver stat speed. Okay, and then yeah, Lua yielded a table. Yeah, I bet that there's some values left over from the last turn because we're just looking at same value there. So let's see, where does it go? Ordering. But wait, that doesn't make sense because the list is created at every time, so they can't possibly have leftover values. So if ordering contains... Oh, I see what... Maybe it goes through one time and gets a certain player, but then goes through again and the same player is inserted? So probably it would have been better actually if this debug was up here at the top. Although we don't have the Lua player yet. here. So I want to see the value again. So let's just run through some turns one more time. Okay, so player selection sort number 1 is 1 and number 2 is 1. Yeah, so that would be a problem. Yeah, so let's say index. Okay, so why would that happen? See if we can step through the Lua. So here is requesting speed for gold and silver, and it gets it. Where is this coming from? Oh, right here. Let's get rid of that because we know fix that bug. Okay, so now we're requesting speed for silver, and then Lua yielded. Okay, so then we get the asynchronous response and it gets silver stat. Okay, and I got. Oh wait, did I get silver stat twice? Okay, so there's some other problem. Yeah, we can see here that I requested gold, but then it got silver stat. Maybe... do I not... Yeah, this is really... yeah, this is completely messed up because I don't increment this index. Why is it a dictionary actually? It should be a list because we basically are just adding onto it. Let's see. And if we use a list, we can just use count. We don't have to keep a separate index. Okay, so yeah, if the monster stat map does not contain this statistic, that means we need to create a new one. And so all we have to do is say stat cache add stat. Oops, why did I do that? And then here we can set it to stat cache count -1 because that'll give us the index that this was actually inserted at. And so here we don't have to do a try get value. We can just say if stat cache. Actually, let's do it this way. If the index is less than the count, actually it'd be greater than or equal to the way I've done this. Do we ever use this function? I don't need that anymore. No, but I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt anything. Okay, so the problem I was having before is that I was just using this index, which is always 0. So basically, the gold monster statistic was overwritten with the silver monsters, which I kind of should have seen because the stat cache only had 1 entry, but I guess I didn't hop into mind. So and that was causing problems because it was basically entering player 2 twice in the sort list because it got the silver monster in there twice. Okay, so far so good. So far so good. Did it go all the way through? Yeah, it did. So it looks like the only code that had any problems was the player sorting. The turn ordering, that's fine. Move actions are all good. Well, I guess that makes sense because the player sorting was definitely the most complicated. Having to use the Oh, that was a little weird. Didn't let me move right here, but let's see that again. Okay, something weird is going on. Okay, so I guess for some reason the indicators weren't showing up because it still let me move here. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about that too much because those are temporary regardless, but alright. We'll have to keep that in mind though. Let's see. How should I say it? Disappearing. Looks like the indicators kind of disappear if you've already moved to that spot before. What am I looking for? Okay, we did that. I need to do this soon. Move indicators. Do not display on turns past 2. I guess only some of them. Not a big deal because the game still let me move there, but it wouldn't let me, like it didn't show the indicator. So just a graphical issue. Okay, so I have only a few minutes left. I guess we can start on this. Maybe we can go through and see everything that needs to be done. So basically, if a script wanted to be pretty naughty, they could like, where is it? Right here. It could hold on to a reference to this actions object, and then in some other script, like say here, it could try to call this actions object, and that's basically at the wrong time. So we need to disable it. So we have the action list. We have the indicators. I guess we can actually just look through. You can call that, and we have basically any of these asynchronous things, so request stat, and also the wait 1 turn, and then async functions. I think that's about it. Oh, I guess map generation. About it. Let's see. And there's no harm in holding on to these argument objects, I guess, because they're just like you can only get data, you can't actually set anything. Yeah, and all of these indicators should be disabled now that I think about it. I guess that goes under there. Action list. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so it does actually return an object, does it? Oh, you can actually set the values. That's actually bad. That should be hidden. Oh, I guess these are hidden, but I didn't. Oh, that's because this whole thing is hidden. Okay. I just saw the set without the hidden. I was like, oh, that's bad. You shouldn't be able to do that. This is just an object that the scripts could hold on to if they wanted. That doesn't really have anything. Well, I guess the battle state shouldn't be able to be called outside of battle. Although, I don't know if that could ever really happen because Lua scripts would not be called once this became available. because, I mean, once this became unavailable because once the battle ends, the Lua scripts are also unloaded. So yeah, I don't think we have to worry about that. Yeah, it's mostly this map generation and the actions. Okay, but we'll get to that tomorrow. And after that, I have some things I want to do to clean up the mod loading. Basically, I want Lua scripts to be able to register themselves to be an onload function. I don't know, through something like this. I don't know, events, onload, add, and then you could actually add this function. So that way we wouldn't have to have, basically we wouldn't have to make sure that this name matches what's in the table of contents, and we wouldn't litter the global namespace so much. And we wouldn't have to worry about having this prefix. Another thing I want to do is in the table of contents, like some things like these abilities. Once we get rid of these functions, it's going to be really short, so it'd be nice if the table of contents could just have actual ability definitions in it. And then maybe one file could have multiple abilities, so there won't need to be one file per each. So that won't be too difficult to do, so I think I'll do some mod author quality of life next. And then I'm still deciding, do I want to model some kind of test character or keep working on game logic actions specifically? I haven't decided yet. I'm really tired of looking at these default plain models, but I really need to brush up on my Blender skills, so I'm not sure how long that will take me to model something nice, but I guess it'll be fun to watch regardless. But anyway, that's it for me tonight. Thanks everybody for coming out and watching. Tomorrow, yeah, we'll continue like I've said. And I should be live around 7:30 or 8:30 Eastern. If you missed part of the stream and you want to catch up, I will upload this to my YouTube in the morning. So you can get a link to it by typing !YouTube in chat or look at my channel description. And similarly, if you want to chat with me and other viewers and game developers, I do have a new Discord channel that you can get to at my channel description or typing !Discord in chat. And yeah, that's it for me tonight. Thanks again everybody, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye bye.